DK's turn to pick.
Outworld Devourer.
LGD's turn to pick.
Welcome to Game 2 between DK and LGD in the TI3 group stages. DK just took Game 1. It was a good game. It was well played. DK putting themselves outside their comfort zone, taking up the Tricore, abandoning the 4 Protect 1, and picking up a Trio Protector to boot. Putting it to really good use. They got the Trio Protector Weaver combo, which is really strong on its own, but really what made it work was they put Lifestealer down in the off lane
Reserve time.
and spammed the Living Armor on him, and he was able to compete in that against a tri-lane. Did well, got his levels, got farm, and R2K had a lot of presence in the previous game,
DK's turn to pick.
which I think really helps apply more pressure across the map, which made it more possible for Burning to find kills wherever he needed. Yao on Magnus did a good job. He found the RPs wherever they were. But I remain unconvinced that Magnus is actually viable at this point. He just deals so little damage. I think they may have over-nerfed him. He offers a lot, but he's not producing wins. I believe he's got like a sub 40% win rate at this point, which is pretty atrocious, especially given how strong he used to be. But looking at the draft already, it's pretty different than it was in Game 1. Timbersaw is... I've never seen DK play it. I'm pretty excited about it. I hope they play aggressively, as that's how Timbersaw ought to be played. But Timbersaw has definitely been making a rise. More and more over the past few weeks, in particular. He made some appearances in the Alienware Cup with Zenith running a Trio Protector Timbersaw off lane, put to amazing use. And ever since then, people are just like, oh yeah, Timbersaw, yeah, legitimate pick, legit. And so he's just been showing up more and more often, and he's been used as a mid now. Pretty much confirmed that he can run that. It's not an amazing mid. He's not going to blow anybody out of the water. But particularly against melees, he does quite well. So excited to see the Timbersaw pick. I think it works pretty well versus Beastmaster, especially. I think that's why the Timbersaw gets picked here. I say melees because the Timbersaw strategy mid is to level up Whirling Death. You just get that up, spam it to burn through the wave, and it deals a lot of damage. I believe it's pure damage? Magical. No, never mind. Just everything else, the Timber Chain and the Chakram. Right? Yeah, Chakram, pure, Timber Chain, pure. Okay. I've only cast like one Timbersaw game, so I'm still... Oh, I haven't played that much Timbersaw either. I should probably fix that. Timbersaw's getting more popular in matchmaking as well, which is relevant here. LGD get the Chen as well. A lot of good push for LGD. Looks like this is something that DK definitely need to address immediately. OD's not good for anti-push, and Timbersaw's decent, but he has to get to level 6, and he really relies on the Chakram to do that. And versus creeps, it's not necessarily as strong, because the percent health is just not as relevant. The percent health bonus damage, it helps, but it's just, you're not burning through waves like a Keeper of the Light, like Windrunner with Power Shot, like any of these other great anti-push heroes that DK should really start considering right now, because the push on the LGD just keeps getting better. As far as carries go, Gyro and Luna are pretty much at the top. Luna might be a little bit better than Gyro simply because her glaives bounce to buildings and can bounce a little bit farther. I mean, it depends on who and what they bounce to, but can have some better range. But overall, the AoE damage of Gyrocopter is really high, and the call down can be a great zoning tool for pushing people back from the tower and guaranteeing that you can finish off a tower if need be.
Reserve time.
But yeah, especially with the Beastmaster Aura combined with Chen creeps, and don't forget the Boar too. Wouldn't be surprised to see a Necronomicon in this game as well. There's a lot that LGD are going to be able to do to take down these towers early and often.
Tide Hunter.
A Tide Hunter.
LGD's turn
This is the
to
second
pick.
Tidehunter that I have now cast. The first one was Rattlesnake against Quantic, and it didn't actually work out in that particular game. I don't necessarily think it was because of the Tidehunter pick. It just didn't end up being that useful, but Tidehunter's a great anti-push hero. In fact, is really good. He basically forces you to...
10
if you try and
seconds
push,
remaining.
if you're grouped up together, then you are risking a Ravage. If you get Ravaged,
5
then
seconds
you're
remaining.
in serious trouble, especially with like an OD and a Timbersaw in this. That gives them time to set up,
Reserve time.
get in the middle of things, and Anchor Smash is a decent AoE for taking down creeps. It also reduces their
DK's
damage. That's
turn
another
to
big
pick.
factor of Anchor Smash. It's easy to forget with creeps is that the 40% reduced damage, if you're applying that to, you know, a whole bunch of Chen creeps plus the boar plus, you know, whatever else that LGD throws in the mix, that's really hurting the damage output by quite a lot. And DK are basically just throwing the push back in LGD's face. They pick up a Pugna. This is a totally different, completely different draft than game one. Very cool to see. The Pugna is a ballsy pick. I suspect this is going to be a support Pugna rather than a mid, given that there's both an OD and a Timbersaw already picked.
5 seconds
I really gotta wonder who are they gonna put burning on
Reserve
OD?
time.
I don't think so. OG super usually plays OD. So maybe it's a Timbersaw offlane with Tidehunter Pugna? the safe lane?
DK's turn to ban.
I don't know. I can't predict DK's laning here. Even with whatever they pick up fifth, I mean, I assume it'll be a carry of some sort. They do need something more reliable damage.
10 seconds
As it is,
remaining.
they're basically relying on OD and Timbersaw to finish people off.
5 seconds
Pugna
remaining.
He's going to have trouble getting to the center of things, but you pick Pugna for the Nether Ward and for
LGD's turn to pick.
the Nether Blast. A lot of AoE damage that destroys buildings. It just rips them up. Easy. And I think Pugna will actually, with the Tidehunter in this game, I like Pugna's chances of getting a decent life drain off, which can really help Pugna's survivability. The more life drain Pugna gets off, the more
10 seconds remaining.
he punishes any investment on
5
trying to kill
seconds
him.
remaining.
So it's an interesting... This is a really interesting draft so far.
Reserve time.
The Bane is... I don't know. Versus Tidehunter is kind of useless because Kraken Shell will proc and he'll just be out of the Fiend's Grip. No trouble. The Nightmare is really useful for... I would say it's probably strongest versus Timbersaw. Both Fiend's Grip and Nightmare will be really useful for slowing down the Timbersaw, getting him to stop moving, and to lock him down. It's also useful versus OD. OD tends to build BKB, so Bane can help deal with that pretty nicely. And it helps the overall team fight for LGD. They've really got a 5-man lineup right now. I think once they've all hit 6, they're going to be looking to group up and to burn through some towers.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, and they round up the 5-man with the Darkseer, which I think is it's a great way to round it up. I have to say, I'm kind of glad to see Darkseer he's getting slowly pushed further back in the draft, depending on which team you're watching. But the fact that all these other heroes have been picked before Darkseer makes me feel good. Just because it's been a long time since there has been any series of games without a Darkseer. So
10
that's
seconds remaining.
tangential. I like the ban
5
from
seconds remaining.
LGD to get the Shadow Shaman out of the pool. That would be a really strong pick for DK.
Reserve time.
Really would make their push quite nice. And one of the nice things about wards is that they don't get hurt by flat cannon, and
Enchantress.
they're quite good at burning through the creeps that LGD will be sending their way. But they rounded out with an Enchantress, so both of these are pretty aggressive lineups. I'm expecting to see a lot of action once we hit the 6-minute mark. Or at least both a lot of positioning for action. We'll have to see what happens, but... Huh. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try and predict these lanes. It's gonna be it's a crapshoot for me. So I'll run through the lineups. DDC is gonna be playing Bane on this dire side for LGD. Yao is gonna be on Darkseer. Zhao 8 he'll be headed mid as that Beastmaster. DD on Chen and Sylar on Gyrocopter. Looks to be it should be Yao in the off lane with DDC playing support up for Sylar in the top lane. My big curiosity here is this going to be an aggressive trialing for DK. We've got ROTK on the Timbersaw and MMY on Tidehunter. He may just be up here to ward.
30 seconds.
It is possible for Timbersaw to solo up against this, especially if it's just a Bane. Bane plus Gyrocopter, he should be okay, especially for each instance of damage he takes. Gets more reactive armor. I don't know what the interaction there is with Rocket Barrage. There may be no interaction with spells. This is something I don't know about Timbersaw. If you know, feel free to inform me. But there's a lot of damage instances on Rocket Barrage, so if it does, that's quite good. QQQ on Enchantress and Super on Pugna down at bottom should have an okay time. Is this a farming Tidehunter? Or farming Pugna? No, it's not a farming Tidehunter. It's going to be a farming Pugna, I think. Which is it's interesting. It's a lot of damage for Darkseer. Like, they don't actually have to lock him down. They can just DPS him out. And now that they see that he's gone for Ion Shell first, he's in danger. He's going to take a lot of harassment. And if they can just keep him out of XP range, that's all they have to do. Delay his level 2 as long as possible. And it should be a good time down in bottom lane. So I would say DK definitely it's gonna be hard for Yao, at least early on. As soon as these supports start pulling, then he'll have a much better time. Over in mid, Beastmasters is OD. Burning's gonna have a fantastic time here, and Burning's actually mid. Haven't seen him go mid before. This is an interesting switch up. But I guess he is the hard carry of this team, so it makes sense for him to be on OD. And he's having... Whoa! Okay! First blood down at bottom. Yao goes down. All the damage... They had the Centaur. That's what happened. QQQ picks up a Centaur with the Enchantress. And has a grand old time. Coming around from behind. Yao sticks around too long. Has not yet picked up his level 2 yet. That's big... That's probably the bigger issue, is that death means that he's not getting the experience that he was just in range for. So he's going to be forced to rotate into the jungle. I think this is a wise decision by him not to try and return, because there's just too much damage. Especially with an Enchantress, you never know what creeper is going to come out. And, oh yeah, Dark Troll Summoner, that's deadly. No chance that he'd be able to survive with an Enchantress there. But yeah, Zhao 8 should... Woo! Up at top. Chen picks up a kill on Timbersaw. He gets a Centaur as well. I guess they're both a little bit of luck for Chen and Enchantress alike. That is what would be necessary to take down RTK in this lane. He's suffering for experience too. He just hits level 2. Unlike Darkseer, however, he does not have the option to rotate into the jungle. So I think he's going to be suffering as this lane goes forward, and I think that's a problem for DK. I don't know how much they're really going to be relying on Timbersaw in this game, but he's definitely not going to provide very much. And I mean, DD's coming back. There's the Nightmare. This is going to give just enough time to get this creep in here, and there's the stun. Rocket Barrage, easy kill. RTK can't return to this lane. No chance. That Nightmare. Tons of setup time for DD to get in there with the Centaur. So, I don't know what he's going to do. He can head back up there, but he's just going to die more. I think this might require more adjustment from DK than they were really interested in giving. They need to take this tower down as soon as possible, which they're going to do really fast. I mean, it's already down below half at 3 minutes in, and as soon as Super hits 5, the tower, and probably even before then, the base damage on Pugna. I mean, he's sitting on 3 branches and he has 64 base damage. That's absurd. Of course, Beastmaster showing him up right there. But yeah, over mid, it's bad times for Xiao 8. Bottom tier 1 does go down. Super picks up the last hit there. Pretty important. But Burning stomping on Xiao 8's face. It's 25-13 versus 7-1, and Xiao 8's not going to have a better time. You can't send Beastmaster mid versus OD. It's just not a good idea. Which, first picking Beastmaster, I gotta question it. There's really no reason to do that. He's not that high value of a hero in my mind. I mean, he's great, don't get me wrong. But you just reveal a huge portion of your lineup. You can only send Beastmaster two places. You can send him to the off lane, where he'll be focusing on stacking Ancients. Or as a 1v1. He can do decently in most 1v1s in the off lane. Or you send him mid. Those are the two places you can send him, and you've already revealed a huge portion of your strategy in your first pick, which is not ideal for a first pick. LGD, they're looking to do some work on this tower, but they're not particularly great at pushing until DD has hit level 5, and he's still 4 right now. So it's going to be a little bit before that top tier 1 goes down, which is pretty good news. Actually, it's not great news for ROTK. He would like this tower to be down so he could be more pushed back to the tier 2 and farming more safely. That's really what he would like. Wow, what a nuisance. Enchantress sending a Wild Ring Ripper over towards middle, and Burning, positioning very aggressively. MMY has shown up. Here's the Gush. They should be able to take this kill, no problem. Nice block from Burning, making sure that he can't get any extra distance whatsoever, and it's an easy kill. QQQ picks up the last hit there, and Burning is having a fantastic time in mid. He's farming the same as Sylar up in this safe lane. That's OD for you. That's how hard he wins these lanes. Super's left completely unimpeded down in this bottom lane. He's actually chosen to skip his life drain, perhaps because he knows that he's not going to be fighting anytime soon. Might as well just get more points and everything else. Lots of harassment coming out from the Enchantress creeps here.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Forcing Yao to be very careful, and I think this is a rotation that they... it's still not a great one. Like, Darkseer doesn't do as badly as Beastmaster, but it's better. At least he can keep the lane pushed out. But as soon as Burning hits 6, he's got double damage too. Oof. That's so much damage. With the Roar up, they could get a kill on Burning if he sticks around a little too far. But he's got a ward here. He should see them coming from decently far away. It all depends on the timing for Xiao 8. Another problem with OD versus Beastmaster is that even if Xiao 8 gets the Roar off, or comes in for the Roar from a good position, if Burning's reaction time is fast, and it should be, he can just Astral Imprison and be completely safe. Or even turn it around. So things are going quite nicely for DK across the map. I'd say the only big question mark is this top lane for LGD. They're gonna get ROTK. Finish off the Brain Sap from TDC. Nightmared up, followed up with a homing missile to break it, and then guarantee there's only a stun so that he can't Timber Chain away. It's a really deadly combo, and it's very easy to execute too. All you have to do is get the Nightmare, and you're set up.
Dire's bottom tower
I haven't seen that
is under
specific combo
attack.
before. Or maybe I have and I forgot. I don't know. Super with that chainmail. What's that gonna be? Is that a mechanism? Could be. Decrepify, it functions the same as a Ghost Scepter, in that I believe it increases the effectiveness of healing. Sure. Could be good for him. I don't know what it's gonna be though. Looks like he sold it? Yep, it's a mechanism. So just going for the heavy push strat. I haven't seen a lot of rotation from him, but I guess that's really okay. He's getting free farm down in this bottom lane. He has Arcanes. He's 52 last hits. He's like right up there with Sylar. DK's getting so much farm across the map right now. The only thing they're not quite getting, level 6 on MMY, so just as I was about to say that. All they need is the level 6 on QQQ for the impetus, and they can really start to be aggressive. DD's honestly having a harder time than he should in the jungle here. Haven't seen what his creep luck has been, but he just hits level 6 right now, which is a little late for Chen. Particularly, he spent, he rotated once over to the top lane, and that resulted in a kill. So, or twice actually. They got 2 kills on RTK. So, really, his levels should be much better than they are. But having the hand of God up is the most important part for him. Lots of sentries up around mid lane. They really want to protect burning. And this is the perfect location to have a sentry up, because if DD uses a smoke, then there's no chance that he'll be able to sneak in, especially with this ward available. This could be the first tower or second tower for DK, unchallenged. LGD will try and make a trade up top, and looks like they'll get it. RTK continues to struggle up here. He's got level 5 still. Doesn't really have any farm. He's taking 5 last hits, so he's not really gotten anything out of this lane, which I don't know why you pick the Timber Saw if he's going to do this badly. I feel like maybe a Bounty Hunter would be better. There's a lot of options out there. Windrunner. Oh, there's a Roar onto Super, but immediate defensive disruption. Nice Ravage onto 3 from MMY. Sanity's Eclipse onto 2, Vacuum onto 4. DD, however, he's getting disrupted, or getting decrepified, and he will be the trade here. Meanwhile, RTK goes down again up at top. He's feeding Sylar. This is not acceptable. If you were feeding any other hero, it might be, well, okay, you're getting everything else across the map, but you're feeding Gyrocopter, and Gyrocopter can be a presence in the mid game. He does need to get more items up before he can really rotate, but really nice Shockwave. It hits everything. Nevertheless, all Super has to keep doing is just spam this Nether Blast, and the tower will eventually fall. Nightmare almost started by DDC, but vision radius just not quite large enough at nighttime. RTK's got to hit level 6. He's so far behind at this point. You know, going for the Whirling Death, I don't know about that. I feel like in this lane, where he's dying this much, getting max Timber Chain is what he really needs in order to secure his survivability. Admittedly, many of his deaths have been completely unpreventable. Like, he just gets nightmared and that's it. So it's not entirely his fault, but I like this movement by DK. They wrap around into the lane, making sure that there's no. Oh yeah, they find DDC. This should be a pretty easy kill. Call down gets dropped, lands on 2, but DDC just gets melted, no problem. But I really like that movement from DK. Now, there were no sentries, so they weren't actually dodging any sentries, but if there were, then they would be likely to be in this area, or potentially around here for the sake of dewarding. But instead, they wrap around, go past ROTK, and one of the things that, psychologically, when you're looking at the minimap, you see a hero just static farming a lane, and he's not moving. So there's no hint to you that there's anything going on in that lane. So a nice surprise gank from DK, and we'll set them up for some damage on this top tier 1. They're pretty close to getting rid of all of the outer tier towers on LGD's side of the map, which against this push heavy lineup, that's fantastic. Putting them on the back foot like that means that they're really going to suffer, and this Chen, DD still doesn't have his mechanism or his arcane boots. He's very, very far behind Chen.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Well, ooh, Cywar gets trapped inside the Chakram. He was like right dead center. And that's another tower going the way of. Ooh, this looks like a dead DD here. Nice Ravage from MMY, right in the center of everything. Call down lands on 2 though. Nice Roar. But Fiend's Grip ends up doing nothing. It's a 2-for-1 in favor, 3-for-1 in favor of LGD. I really thought that was going DK's favor, but wow, that's a 4-for-1. That was amazing. I think it really came down to the Ravage. So I thought MMY's Ravage was really good, but he ends up only catching 2 with it, and he doesn't catch the Gyrocopter, and the call down was really nice. Yao's Vacuum kept him inside the call down area as well as the wall. That had a big factor there. was a pretty close fight overall. Like, it could have gone either way, but LGD just had the better positioning. I think going on to... who was it they imprisoned? It was DD. He didn't even use the Hand of God there, so never mind. That wasn't close at all. He might have been low on mana. I don't remember, but the fact that there was no Hand of God in that fight and they still came out on top speaks pretty highly of LGD's performance in that fight. But yeah, I think the lackluster Ravage. Everybody was too far away. It was able to get out of the AoE, and it just didn't have much impact. I think they were expecting more from it. Sandy's Eclipse didn't get used either. It may have been on cooldown at the time. Tough to say. Yaz picked up an Ogre Club. What's with the BKBs, man? Why is Darkseer picking up a BKB at this point in the game? It is going to make him a lot more survivable. He is very important to his team. So, of the games that you could see a Darkseer BKB, I think this is not such a bad one. But I maintain that you really shouldn't get BKB as a first item as a utility hero. If you have a mechanism, if you have a sheep stick, if you have a blink, then you offer a lot more to your team. You're a lot more powerful, and your BKB becomes a lot more justified, and you can guarantee that you're going to get a lot more out of each use. But if you just pick it up early on, you're going to be dealing with a short duration BKB, which Darkseer doesn't necessarily need a long BKB.
Top tower is under attack.
He can function without it. There's a smoke up onto 3 here by LGD. They'd love to find a pickoff. But there's also a smoke up from DK. Ravage is back up. Who will find who? LGD are the ones with the crow. They can scout this out better than DK can. And they see the smoke is popped. They know that something's up. So,
Top tower is under
LGD
attack.
backs off. And they'll start to work on this top tier 2. There's a teleport in from RTK. Oh, it's a 4-step in from Burning. But are they going to go on this? That's the question. Appears not. DD will be able to... I thought for a second that maybe DD was still in range. These are not optimal creeps for a Chen to have. In fact, these are some of the worst. Shockwave is okay early on for harassment, but as you move on, it's just less and less effective. And the Unholy Aura, the extra HP regen, does not stack. So you're not getting any benefit out of having multiple creeps. And this Hellbear Smasher, despite having a lot of HP, is just not that effective. Long cast animation on a fairly poor slow, so it's not really the best creep. Oh, DK. They're set up in mid. This is a nice position for the Nether Ward. It's just in range of where the fight may potentially happen. And it's dangerous for LGD. Lots of high mana cost abilities. Honestly, DD probably could kill himself with his mana pool at this point. Be close, anyways. It's also a big deal for Darkseer. Nice trading of the... Oh, there's a roar onto QQQ. Bean's Grip basically wasted. Ravage onto 3, but there's a BKB up on Sylar. The Sandy's Eclipse gets used. It's 3-1 in favor of LGD already, and Burning's running for his life. It's a 4-for-1. Burning actually thinks about going back in and nearly costs his life. Wow, great fight for LGD. How do I analyze this? It happened so fast. I think DK were not expecting them to go in exactly when they did. The roar was used onto QQQ, which when I first saw it, I thought, oh, it's kind of a waste. It's just an Enchantress. Why roar him? I mean, he's nightmared anyways. But they take him down like really quickly, and that means that he can't steal any of Chen's creeps, and it means that there's no Nature's Attendants either. So they take him out. RGK is basically a non-factor in these fights. Like his chakrams have not been particularly good. I haven't seen any big timber chains. So how he goes down or what happens to him is not really a factor. Burning forced to stay in the back, and he lands a decent Sanity's Eclipse, but I think the big factor here was Siler having the BKB. He goes right on top of Tidehunter and starts spamming. Has no trouble living through that fight, and I think the BKB is, it's really probably the story of that fight. There we go. I figured out how to analyze it. Which is a classic example of why we haven't seen a lot of Tidehunter. You get your hopes up with the Ravage. You see multiple people getting stunned, but because of the travel time, it actually takes a little while before you know who's been stunned. It's basically a full second before you have a good notion of how well the Ravage has succeeded. Or if it hasn't at all. You basically have to operate off of prediction rather than looking what has actually happened. Versus a Magnus where you can immediately see, oh, he's got 3 in his reverse polarity. This is how it's gonna roll. Whereas Tidehunter, it's a very clusterfucky spell. It's hard to know exactly how much impact it's had. Which is definitely making a difference in these fights, but I don't know. It's tough to say. I think DK is expecting a lot more out of these Ravages, and they're just not getting them. I think it's also probably a big factor for why Yao has gone for the BKB first. With a Ravage in play, you might as well just get the BKB, deal with it. Also, I like this cheeky steal of the Beastmaster Boar. And there's no Sven to stun it this time, so should be safe. Point Booster picked up on ROTK. He's going straight for the Bloodstone. I've fallen out of love with this build. Oh, he's forced F in for burning. Is there follow-up possible here? DDC is on the back lines. He's got his Fiend's Grip, so I don't think that DK can really challenge this. The push is really slowed down for DK. So you can see, I mean, the graph tells a pretty accurate story of the game. I mean, right around the 10-minute mark,
Double damage.
DK could have been pushing their advantage a lot more. But they don't, and now they've got a Pugna. And what do you do with a Pugna that's not pushing? You've got, decent team support. The Nether Ward is really good. No doubt about that. But really, what's the late game look like for this Pugna? And really for the rest of DK? Are all their hopes on burning once more? Have they unintentionally reverted back to their old ways? LGD picks up the Roshan here. Siler's almost finished a butterfly after that. After that BKB, so he's looking pretty farmed for 21 minutes into this game. Yeah, I don't know. I think the longer this goes on, the more behind it feels that DK is getting, and I don't know what they can do to come back. With these BKBs up, 2 BKBs means that burning is doing relatively little compared to what he was 5 minutes ago. I think this is why DK really had to press their advantage when they had it, because as soon as the BKBs start coming up, that's so much auto attack damage lost. Oh no. MMY. He's here with Xiao 8. They're hanging out together. Siler, he wants to go in QQQ. And there's a Fiend's Grip on the MMY. He will go nowhere. 2 kills for LGD. This is sloppy positioning. They're trying to apply pressure across the map, but they're doing it in a very poor fashion. A bad disengage too is a part of it. Super really wanted this tower, and he feels the burn as Pugna. He's like, I know how much damage I do to towers. I need to start making that happen. But way overly aggressive and not having the wards to support that kind of positioning. Look at DK's wards compared to look at LGD's wards compared to what DK has on the map. DK has nothing, and then over in middle, his push is going forward. I did not expect LGD to be going in on this quite so hard. I think they're just gonna disengage. Very slow walking away. No rushing here. No running in these halls. But yeah, with the lack of ward coverage, that positioning from DK was not viable. So they end up feeding more kills, and things are looking really good for LGD as this game goes forward. In fact, it's 5,000 gold in their favor. Almost 10,000 experience. The experience is pretty deadly. That's a big problem. I would say this really has to come down to the draft in big ways. Okay. They got the... Ooh, vacuum 1-2. Call down, gonna completely whiff. But not much commitment here from LGD. They're okay just saving Zhao 8. I think DK have the right notion there and that they need to keep the pressure up. Like, they have to. They don't have a choice. If they sit back, they're just going to lose the game. That is how this will play out. How did Birding see up there? I don't understand. Zhao 8, he's taking... Ooh, that orb damage hurts a lot. Manages to get the war off an RTK. Sylar comes to the side, pops the BKB, but he doesn't have a lot more to do here, and RTK can just Timber Chain away. Although, just the gush, slowing down Sylar. RTK is just going to keep running away. So it's a free kill for DK. A very awkward engagement for both sides. I mean, getting a kill onto Zhao 8's great. I really don't think Zhao 8's even like that critical to LGD's success. He's a big part of it, but I think the important players here are Sylar and Yao. It really depends on those two, and I think they've been the big problems for DK in these fights. There's been a lot of vacuums, pulling people back into call downs, walls, surges to get Sylar into position or to save his teammates. I don't know. I have to question RTK's Timber Saw. I know that it's possible for him to be doing better. I have a hard time saying exactly what that is. Timber Saw is a hero of many possibilities, and he's still pretty fresh in the competitive scene. So what optimal play looks like for him has not been established. That butterfly is finished on Sylar. He's still got the Aegis for another minute and a half or so, so LGD will probably try and make some tower pushes in the near future. DD, he's finished his mechanism and he's gotten a Force Staff, which the Force Staff is a direct response to Tidehunter. It's another way of dealing with that. MMY, he's got the Fiend's Grip up, and his Kraken Shell ends just before, and he's able to get the Ravage off, but he basically wastes it. I don't know what the purpose of that was, given that DK were not going to be able to go in on that, and that's not a fight that they would really want to take either, given that the Aegis is still up. So LGD are positioned around mid. Super's doing some split push up top, but I don't know. I think they're looking really dark here for DK. I don't know what they can do to come back. Their push has basically been thwarted. I think honestly, this draft feels kind of random. I mean, you look at the collection and you see, yeah, there's a lot of push in here. There's a lot of aggression, but how does it combine together? How does Pugna work together with Enchantress and Tidehunter? Where does Timbersaw fit into all of this? It's tough to say. Even ignoring how the lanes went. Though really, I mean, bottom lane went great for DK, as did mid, so their laning phase was pretty fine. Point Booster is up on QQQ, so he'll have a Aghanim Scepter sometime next year. He'll probably have it sometime sooner than that, but I don't think it's going to be in time. That's the trouble. Ultimate Orb up on Burning, so would love to get a Scythe of Ice. Ultimate Orb also up on Yao.
Invisibility.
So he's going for a sheep stick of his own. No surprises. Necropick up on Zhao 8, I really like that. Further helps the push, works well with the Chen creeps. It's gonna be a lot of creeps working together in unison with, I think, being like a total of 52 attack speed, because I want to say that, yeah, Inner Beast is 40, and I believe it's 12% at level 3 Necrobook minions, or maybe it's 9%.
Top tower has fallen.
Either way, a lot of extra attack speed that helps out those creeps quite a lot. Sylar has picked up his Helm of the Dominator, so probably headed straight for Satanic next. He's going to be pretty hard to kill, to say the least. Smoke up on DK here. What kill can they find? I mean, they might be able to find a solo pick-off somewhere, but is that really enough? Does that warrant the amount of time they're spending smoked up when their entire jungle could be farmed? These are the questions that philosophers must ask. DK, do they get spotted by any wards? DD, they might find Chen here. They'll at least get his creeps, which is okay. It's something. It's not worth the amount of time and not worth the smoke up. So DK is just not managing to find their leg up that they so desperately need. My voice is... It's happy with me for talking for... What are we on? What hour are we on? 6. Yeah, hour 6.
Is under attack.
I'll be alright. It's going to be okay. You're not going to die. This game is not going to kill you. RTK has finally finished his Bloodstone! Hooray! He's also got a cloak up for all that magical damage on LGD.
Radiant's bottom
Magical
tower
damage?
is under attack.
I don't see where it is. So I don't know about that. Maybe he's thinking he just needs a pipe. I don't know. It's cheap survivability, but I mean, there's really no magic damage on LGD except for maybe like Ion Shell, Darkseer Wall, composite damage on pure damage on Brain Sap, pure damage on Test of Faith. I don't know. I get the feeling that maybe Timbersaw is not RTK's hero. He is, after all, 0-6-3 on what is arguably the most survivable hero in these 10 heroes. You know, maybe matched by Darkseer. But that really shouldn't be happening. Honestly, the scores for DK are not making a lot of sense. I don't feel like... I mean, OD did fine on Burning... Burning did fine on OD mid. The laning phase was great for him, which, I mean, that's really... Burning's strength is in the laning. But I just don't feel like he's quite had the aggression. Could equally come down to team support, knowing when he can and can't go in. But point booster up on DD, so he's working towards an Ags. 30-second heals on the way. Level 3 Neko Book available now on Zhao 8. Let's check that attack speed aura. It's 9%. 9% attack speed. Wow, look at this Roche drop. That's fast. So another Roche going the way of LGD. With that Satanic, looks like he's probably going to sell his wand. I think that's what he has to do. Oh, or he'll just build a Satanic, of course. So LGD could probably just push in after this. I don't think they have to wait for too much. At this point, they are... the lead has not actually grown too much. DK have done a good job stemming that. Probably has something to do with the amount of time that LGD has spent grouped up. In fact, that's probably a major factor, which is why it hasn't increased at all. It's I was about to say unfortunate, but I don't think it actually makes a difference that the lead hasn't changed. I think LGD still has a massive upper hand here in these fights, just because of the hero composition of DK. They need to be even in order to be competing, if not ahead. And we still haven't seen anything out of Pugna this game. It's another pick that I haven't talked as much about. He built a mechanism early, and I spent a lot of time split pushing. Those two things don't add up for me. Built a Force Staff, but it seems to be just to save his teammates. But if you're not fighting, then what is the Force Staff really doing? So smoke up on a 5 here by DK. Can they find anything? I mean, they don't have particularly great vision into the jungle, so I don't think they're going to be catching anybody. It's always the off chance, but I mean, even if they find Sylar, I don't think they can kill him twice before his team shows up. They may have thought that LGD were perhaps a little closer than they are, but even then. There's a gem up on Burning. Could do some dewarding if he so desired. He's also got this Scythe of Ice, by the way, so that's going to be pretty relevant for the next fight. Blink Dagger's also up on MY, so the Ravages could return to relevance in these fights. However, Sylar's done a good job saving his BKB. It's still at 8 seconds, and that's long enough for LGD to win the fight. Well, the engagement begins mid. So teleport back from Burning. Oh, super. Wow. Took a lot of damage there from these Necrobook minions. It's what seemed to be the big problem.
Structures are fortified.
They take him out, but they take a lot of damage for it. I'm still not sure what exactly caused all that damage. Super's also got his own Scythe of Ice now, so that's actually pretty good news. RTK doing what damage he can on Sylar. Actually, he's dropping really low. Having trouble man-fighting with all these Scythe of Ice up, and he's just going to teleport back. Okay. I really think that LGD could have taken that fight. But he just gets scared off by the damage and the chain stun from DK. Yeah, 2 Scythe of Ice is a scary prospect. I'll give him that. But maybe they'll reconvene. I really think that they should use this Aegis. Like, they're not. They might feel like they're more ahead than they are. They're jumping ahead a little bit further in lead now, but I think if they don't use this Aegis, then they're just giving more time for DK to get more Slice of Ice. I don't think the late game for DK is that bad, and particularly with the Ags coming up in QQQ, that's a lot of pure damage. And the only protection that Sylar has is this BKB. That's stopping both the Arcane Orb and the Impetus, and that's tons of damage that he's avoiding. Pure damage, no less. Not the same story is not true for everybody else on this team. Alright, Sylar pops the BKB, he goes in, there's a nice vacuum in onto Super, pulls him back, right on top of Sylar, no problem. RTK, he's running away, should be able to Timber Chain in just a moment and make it out, but an easy kill on Super. The Sheep is wasted on Sylar here for no apparent reason. And with the Fortify not available, these mid-racks should be going down momentarily. And so they do. LGD take the first set of racks. They can stick around if they so desire. Ooh, nice vacuum into wall on the out. Good blink in from MOY. Lands a 5-man Ravage. Really nice Ravage. This doesn't matter though. RTK, he gets finished off with a Test of Faith. And one more right click from Sylar. Burning, he can try to run away, but it's not going to matter. And DK calls it GG. 7-18, 37 minutes in. LGD do it. I thought they were a little bit behind when the game first started off, but I think DK does not play as aggressively as they needed to make their lineup work. Super spent a lot of time farming down at bottom. After they took the mid-tier 1, I believe there should have been an immediate rotation mid from Pugna. Because if you're going to have Pugna and you're going to have him at level 7, sitting in a lane solo farming, what did he get that game out of that farm that made any difference for DK? Nothing! It's absolutely nothing! He needed to rotate a lot sooner and create pressure around the map for DK, force them to be rotating all over the place. Which would have given room for ROTK up at top, because he can handle things solo versus Gyrocopter, but he can't do it versus Bane and Chen. As much as I want to rag on ROTK's play this game, it's not his fault that things went so badly in that off lane, because there's no chance that he had there. I mean, even now that I've really thought through it, with a Bane gyrocopter, all he has to do is get nightmared, and he's gonna eat a full rocket barrage. He might not die the first time, but he will die the second time. No questions asked. So, yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a fantastic draft, but I think DK could have made it work if they had done more rotation a lot sooner, because they won bottom lane pretty nicely and they won mid. They had room to do it. And there were really slow levels on DD. Chen, I mean, he was level 5 at like 6 or 8 minutes in. I don't know what it was, but until he has 3 creeps, he's not at full potential for stopping your push. And he definitely didn't have a mechanism until like 10 or 15 minutes. So I don't think there's any reason for DK to have played that as passive as they did. Nonetheless, good match. Cool to see these picks.